Welcome to Deep Thought. Common sense isn't common. And you know, that's an old saying. That's an old saying that elders have used. Because I was really thinking about that. Because I'm gonna tell you what. Because like on my main channel, I have zero remorse about deleting and blocking. But also, one thing I know, sometimes people be asking some questions or saying something, and I was like, just think on that, Now, normally I say there's no dumb questions, normally. But when somebody just says something, you like, where do you live? I was like, somebody said something on one of my channels. I said, use some common sense. They didn't even respond. Seriously, use some common sense. It was like it was something basic that should be obvious, no matter whatever your philosophy is. It's just an obvious human function. But someone's trying to change up something. I was like, nah. And in fact, there's a lot of stuff. You have a lot of people out here. They just don't have any mother wit, as they would call it, street smarts, just basic common sense. You have some people out here. Yes. They are very good at their jobs. They're very well educated. But just some basics of human interaction, what are you doing? Because all common sense it's just a form of intelligence of interacting socially in the real world. That's all it is. In fact, I'm going to tell you what, because, lately we haven't had any issues about the whole IQ debate. But one of the things I remember back in the 90s when there was a big debate about it, and a professional psychologist actually said, you get these people, some of these people who try to act like they're so smart, but then they end up in a cult or something, or they end up following something. It was like they got all this intelligence, but can't make a basic decision, a life decision. And part of it is too, it's not just them, but we do live in a society where people are not really taught how to think. Like if you look at the education system, this is very prominent. If you look at the classes that they have, it's just basically propaganda. It's programming, Really not even teach you. People say, what's to teach you a job? No, it's not. It's propaganda. And it's to shape your mind in a certain way. But it focuses on left brain modalities. It don't tell you how to live. In most of the classes, they don't teach you how to live. They used to have home economics in a lot of schools. They don't have that like they used to. They don't have that. People don't learn just some basics and stuff. People don't learn how to do their taxes, or in many cases, how to balance their checkbook. And that's been for decades. And that's in general. There's probably some schools, maybe more private, smaller schools that actually work on those things. But in general, it's just a treadmill. Indeed, it's not even good at just the basics. Anytime you have high school students, you got high schools where the majority of students read at an elementary school level. So it's not, they ain't even doing that. But let me just stay focused on the common sense thing, because that, the reading level thing, that's a whole other conversation. That's more than deep thought right there. That's a political discussion right there. But it really isn't, because a lot of people, I'm going to tell you what, you have many forces in society too who have programmed the masses to just follow. There's a lot of stuff people wouldn't do if they actually sat down and thought about it. That's why I in a video often and say, think on this. Because you have groups, they want you to follow along. And it's not even necessarily some nefarious metaphysical type of thing like some people might think. If you sell some type of product or something that subliminally gives people the idea that they'll find a mate, hey, guess what? You're going to make money off of it. You say, hey, if you get this toothpaste or something, or this mouthwash or this breath mint, And the sole purpose, and then you do a commercial where it shows them kissing somebody of the opposite sex who's real attractive. Hey, they just trying to make money. They just trying to make money. Whatever they're doing, or if you got a bunch of video of commercials or something, and they always showing a certain type of car, or they trying to promote some, some type of movement, that's not really allowing the person to think. Like I mentioned before, in high school, I had a teacher, and he actually taught us to think. We get a passing grade from him. You had to show you thought about something, even if you disagreed with him. But it still wasn't officially a part of the class. It was actually a religion class, but he was an atheist. So he was an interesting guy. Oh, man. His course was religion, but he was an atheist. And I don't think we ever talked about religion in there. But he did teach us about thinking. You had to think to pass his class. But the thing was, just a common sense piece. It's looked down upon too. We don't celebrate it. We don't have an IQ test that tests common sense. We really don't. Everything is about people not thinking, because if you had a critical mass of people thinking, there's a lot of stuff that wouldn't happen. You probably have a different set of politicians, or even different political groups, parties or something, who would be in power. A lot of people wouldn't be able to have some of the advertisements they use. There's a lot of things that would be different because people would just think. People wouldn't fight against some of the things they fight against. It's so many things. And it's something to consider, and that's why I say, that's one of the things about this channel. If you hadn't noticed, I don't promote a specific philosophy. And I've said several times, if you disagree with me on something, just articulate it without attacking. Hey, I can deal with that. Because I just want you to think. Because that's all it is. And common sense, people might say, well, it is common sense. It's like, no. It just means you just learned it going through life. You can call it mother wit, street smarts, whatever. So that's the important thing. But unfortunately, it isn't common. It really isn't. Maybe one day, several generations from now, it will be. After, there's some changes in the culture. But right now, it isn't common. So I want y'all to just think on this, all right? Get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.